My wife had me thrown in prison, with help from my own family. It was a Thursday morning. Bright, normal, boring. I was in my office reviewing invoices, just another day at my logistics firm, when 3 officers walked in, badges out, and said my name like it was a curse. Elliot Rayner? I looked up, half confused, half annoyed. Yeah? You're under arrest for financial fraud, wire fraud, and corporate embezzlement. I thought it was a prank. A mix-up. Some disgruntled ex-employee pointing fingers. I laughed. They didn't. They pulled me out in cuffs. In front of my staff. My assistant cried. My operations manager just stared. The cuffs clicked shut, and I remember thinking, this is insane. My wife, Jenna, didn't answer my call from booking. I left a voicemail. Something's wrong. Please call me. I need you. She never called back. I didn't know it yet, but that would be the last time I ever believed she was on my side. That first night in jail was a blur of cement, steel, and disbelief. I'd never been arrested before. Never even had a speeding ticket. Now I was staring at a cracked ceiling, trying to figure out how my life had exploded in less than 12 hours. They showed me the charges: wire fraud, embezzlement, and intent to defraud clients. Tens of thousands unaccounted for. Documents with my name on them. Emails supposedly sent from my account. I didn't recognize half of it. Still, it looked official. It looked damning. I called Jenna again. Straight to voicemail. Tried my brother Mason, he helped run the business. Nothing. My mom. I can't help you, Elliot, she said, then hung up. Cold. Final. That was the moment the air left the room. Because I wasn't just fighting false charges. I was alone. And I hadn't even seen the worst of it yet. 2 weeks into lockup, I finally got access to a small common room with a TV and yesterday's newspapers. I wasn't looking for anything. But there it was, on page 6 of the local section. A photo of my wife Jenna, on the arm of my brother Mason. They were dressed for a gala. Smiling. Holding hands. The caption read, Local entrepreneur Mason Rayner steps up as interim CEO after Elliot Rayner's arrest. Pictured with family. Family. They stood in my suit. Smiled with my name still in headlines. And not one damn person, not Jenna, not Mason, not even my mother, had answered a single call. I stared at the image until my vision blurred. That was the moment it clicked. I hadn't just been abandoned. I'd been set up. And the people who helped frame me? Were the ones I'd loved the most. After that photo, the pieces started falling into place. I managed to get a visit from my old friend and former business partner, David. He looked sick when he sat across from me in that visitation booth. He slid me a folder. Bank statements. Asset transfers. Password changes. All made in my name. All dated just days before I was arrested. You didn't do this, he said. I know your signature. This isn't it. But someone else did. Jenna had access to our home system, my accounts, my passwords. She helped me run the back end. And Mason? He had access to our business finances. We'd trusted each other blindly since day one. Never thought he'd weaponize that trust. Together, they drained joint accounts, rerouted business funds, and filed fabricated reports with the audit team. All while I was in the dark. David leaned in, whispering, Your mom signed off on a statement verifying the financials, backing Mason. I just stared at him. My own mother vouched for the lie. I wasn't just betrayed. I'd been erased. And they thought jail would keep me quiet forever. They had no idea what I was about to do next. The system moves slow, painfully slow. I was stuck in limbo, barely surviving inside, while outside, my life was being auctioned off by the people I once trusted most. Then, out of nowhere, David came back, with someone new. Her name was Ari Thomas. Private investigator. Quiet voice. Sharp eyes. Zero tolerance for liars. She owes me a favor. David said. And she doesn't like corruption. Ari had already pulled surveillance from the office building. One clip stood out. Jenna and Mason entering my office at night alone. Inside for nearly 40 minutes. Then Jenna walks out carrying my laptop. There it was. Physical evidence of access and motive. They hadn't just framed me. They needed me gone to make it all work. Ari leaned across the table and said, I've seen this before. This was planned. Your mother? She signed off on everything. But we'll flip this. I asked. Why help me? She replied. Because you're not the first man they buried. But you're going to be the first who climbs out. That's when the tide shifted. For the first time, I had something stronger than anger. I had a plan. Prison isn't kind to the falsely accused. But rage has a way of sharpening focus. While Ari worked on the outside, I became obsessed with every detail. I made lists of dates, passwords, every interaction I remembered that suddenly didn't feel right, texts from Jenna at odd times, business meetings. Mason insisted on solo, my mom's sudden interest in financial reports. David smuggled in files during visits. I memorized them, then sent them back out, annotated with notes, and names only I could explain. We discovered Jenna had filed for divorce 2 days after my arrest. 2 days. She claimed I was abusive. Said she feared for her safety. Attached screenshots of messages, completely fake. Most were cut and paste from past arguments taken wildly out of context. She painted me as volatile. While they stole my house, my business, and tried to scrub me out of existence. And the worst part? People believed them. For now. Because Ari had already subpoenaed the tech company where the fake documents were verified. The signatures didn't match. The timestamps were doctored. We were building a bomb. And soon? We'd light the fuse. 3 months in, Ari called David in the middle of the night. She'd found something. An email chain between Jenna and a freelance IT guy, hidden on a white drive from my old office server. The guy was paid under the table to create false invoices and reroute data, to make me look guilty. She reached out to him. Quietly. Turns out, he didn't know the full story. Jenna told him I was abusive. Dangerous. Said she was trying to escape with her brother-in-law's help. He felt sick. And scared. So Ari flipped him. He gave a full statement. Showed the payment trail. Identified Jenna's voice on a call instructing him to make it look messy enough that he won't get out. It was the breakthrough we needed. With his testimony, plus the surveillance, fake timestamps, and financial reports, Ari handed everything over to a federal fraud investigator. The agent's words? There's no way this was just embezzlement. This was a coordinated takedown. They issued a request for a formal review. The clock was ticking now. And Jenna Mason and my mother had no idea the walls were closing in. But I knew. And for the first time since the cuffs clicked, I slept without grinding my teeth. It didn't take long for the feds to act once they saw the full scope. A quiet subpoena here. A surprise audit there. Mason's company card flagged. Jenna's bank transfers scrutinized. My mother's signed affidavit now contradicted by her own emails. They cracked fast. First it was Mason, nervous, defensive in a deposition, stumbling over basic numbers. Then Jenna's accounts were frozen. Her lawyer quit when he realized what she'd hidden. And my mother? She went silent. Vanished from her condo. Stopped responding to calls from anyone, even Mason. The whole house of cards? Crumbling. Ari sent word through David. They're going to drop the charges. It's just a matter of days. I didn't cry. Didn't smile. Just sat on my bunk, staring at the wall, waiting. Because when you've been betrayed by your own blood, exoneration isn't victory. It's just step one. And I wasn't done yet. The charges were dropped exactly 187 days after I was arrested. No apology. No ceremony. Just a guard handing me a plastic bag of clothes and saying, "You're free to go." Free. Except I had nowhere to go. My house was sold. My accounts were empty. My name had been dragged through headlines, courtrooms, and backroom whispers. I walked out of prison into a gray, cold morning with nothing but rage in my chest and a fire in my gut. David picked me up. Ari was in the front seat, sunglasses on, dead calm. She handed me a folder. Inside, an outline of everything Jenna and Mason had done. A civil suit already prepped. And notes on criminal charges that were now officially under federal review. "You can disappear," she said, "or you can fight." I nodded. "Let's bury them." But I knew something deeper. I could get revenge. I could win the lawsuits. I could even clear my name in public. But peace? That was something I'd have to build on my own. And that journey had just begun. We filed the civil suit a week after I got out. Fraud. Defamation. Identity theft. Emotional damages. The press picked it up fast. Falsely imprisoned CO fights back against ex-wife, brother, and mother. Photos resurfaced. The gala. The affidavit. The fake divorce filings. Suddenly, their story cracked wide open. Mason went into hiding. Jenna posted a tone-deaf statement claiming she was manipulated too. My mother refused to comment, but her signature was on too many documents to play innocent. I gave one quiet interview. Just one. "I didn't lose my company," I said. "It was stolen. But they forgot something. I'm still alive." And I was. Angrier, sharper, leaner. The civil suit shook their foundation. Their lawyers scrambled. Their assets were frozen. And the feds? They came knocking again, this time with criminal intent. It wasn't just about my freedom anymore. It was about justice. And by God, I was going to see it done. Court dates were set. Depositions rolled in like waves, each one tearing deeper into their story. Mason cracked first, sweating, stammering, his lawyer begging for a deal. He admitted to altering business records, forging my signature, and feeding Jenna the financials. He blamed her for the idea. Jenna, of course, blamed me, called it retaliation, a coordinated smear. But emails and texts betrayed her. She had lied to the IT guy. Lied to her lawyer. Lied to everyone. And the jury? They saw it. Every photo. Every forged file. Every voice recording. As for my mother, her cowardice finally caught up with her. When she was called to testify, she claimed she couldn't remember key events. But surveillance footage from one of the bank visits showed her laughing with Mason after they drained my emergency account. The prosecution called it what it was, willful conspiracy. I watched from the gallery, no longer as the accused, but as the man who had survived them all. It took the jury less than 4 hours. They came back with 3 guilty verdicts, one for each of them. Jenna, fraud. Perjury. Conspiracy. Mason, fraud. Forgery. Embezzlement. My mother, accessory to fraud. Obstruction. The courtroom was still when the sentences were read. Jenna broke down first, cried like it would undo everything. Mason just stared at the floor, expressionless. My mother didn't flinch, but her lips were pressed tight, like holding in venom. The judge looked at me. Said nothing. He didn't have to. I'd already served time I didn't deserve. But now, they would too. The media ate it up. So did the public. Everyone loves a downfall, especially when it's personal. But for me, it wasn't about headlines. It was about truth. And watching them be led out in handcuffs. It wasn't victory. It was closure. I didn't cheer. I just exhaled, for the first time in nearly 2 years. With the trial behind me, I stood in an empty apartment with 2 duffel bags and no real plan. My name was cleared. My attackers were sentenced. But what do you do when your entire life has been burned to the ground? You build again. I started small, took a job doing contract accounting for a friend of a friend. Humbling, but honest. I moved out of the city. New town. No whispers, no sideways looks. Just quiet streets and clean air. Therapy helped. So did solitude. The nightmares faded. The bitterness didn't vanish overnight, but it dulled. Every time I chose not to check over my shoulder, not to read another news article, not to dig through memories, I felt a little more free. I stopped asking, "Why me?" and started asking, "What now?" Because starting from zero doesn't mean you're empty. It means you're unclaimed. And I was finally mine again. I bought a cabin upstate. Quiet place. Pine trees. A creek out back that sounds like forgiveness when it rains. No security system. No noise. Just me and the silence they couldn't corrupt. I picked up woodworking, something I'd always wanted to try but never had time for when I was busy making everyone else rich. I built a bench. Then a desk. Then shelves. One day I realized I hadn't thought about Jenna or Mason or my mother in weeks. They were locked away. And I was free. Not just legally. Emotionally. Spiritually. I met people who didn't know my story. And when they asked what I did before I came here, I just said, "Had to learn the hard way who to trust." They'd nod. And we'd move on. Because I wasn't a cautionary tale anymore. I was just a man who survived the storm. And planted something new in the quiet that came after. I met someone. It wasn't love at first sight. It wasn't cinematic. It was human. Her name's Mara. She runs a small bookstore in town, wears denim and sarcasm like armor, and has a smile that says she's survived some things too. She never asked for my whole story. But when I told her the truth, she didn't flinch. She said, "Then I guess we both learned the hard way. We walk a lot. Cook together. Laugh often. Sometimes just sit in silence and let the stillness speak." And one morning, sipping coffee on the porch I built with my own hands, she looked at me and said, "You always seem like you're bracing for impact." I told her I used to live with betrayal around every corner. But not anymore. Because now I choose. I choose who's in my life. I choose what peace looks like. I choose love, but only the kind that shows up, stays honest, and doesn't require me to bleed for it. This time, I'm not asking for permission. I'm not playing anyone's role. This time, I choose everything. I have many other stories. Go to my channel, subscribe so you don't lose us. Give me a thumbs up.